So we've got innovative, fast-paced, thrifty, entrepreneur. Thrifty, that's a great word. Agility, innovation, grind. All right, so now I know that people can put stuff in. When we go through each of the demos, you can also put your questions and contribute your feedback to everybody. So why do we do this demo thing, right? We're giving each person who's got a startup 5 minutes to demo their idea, and then 5 minutes Q&A. The Q&A is going to be prompted by Nick. Prokhorov, if that's you type in. I need you to stop for a second. We'll go on mute. Yeah, so it's going to be prompted by Nick, and it's going to be prompted by Rachel, those initial questions, and by me. And anybody from the audience, put your questions in through Mentimeter, and we'll get those asked as well. The point of all of this is the number one reason startups fail is we build stuff that we think is awesome and nobody else cares. It's hard to believe how many people do that, but that's the persistent number one reason that startups fail all over the world. And you think about how many people, smart people just like you, and occasionally me, are putting lots of our life force and lots of people's money, hundreds of millions of dollars, into things that nobody cares about. Nobody wants, nobody needs it. So this breaking out bubble moment of demo night, which we do every month of the year, is about learning, not just us as founders learning today whether or not we're doing something that's insane, but as other people ask us questions, other people watch us, they will be questioning their own ideas too. And this is how we build an ecosystem of strength, that we all keep challenging ourselves and breaking our bubbles. So thank you for taking the opportunity to be brave, to be bold, and to be vulnerable, because as you share your idea, you may get some criticism. You may find that somebody says to you, did you know that Google Drive does that? And I don't see any point in you actually spending the rest of your life trying to build that startup. And if that is the case, well, maybe you do need to stop. But some of it can be a little bit brutal at times, even though we are a very constructive community. So, all right. Now, Yuri's going to be the first person to take his idea to you in a second, and it's Supo. And for everybody on screen right now, and anybody who's watching the live stream, etc., you get to vote on this as he goes. So, and we'll show him this screen at the end. So if you think you get it, if you'd use it, if you'd invest in it, if you'd recommend it to a friend, put the strongly agree, strongly disagree piece in there as he talks. And at the end, we'll come back to this slide and just sort of show him what you've said, okay? So Yuri, fancy 5 minutes? Want to tell people what you're working on?
I certainly do. Hello, everyone. Thank you for your time. My name is Yuri Prokhorov, CEO of Supo. Let me tell you a little bit of a story about what Supo is and how we're here now. Let me tell you about Jeremy. He's the managing partner at the law firm. He's got 120 lawyers, 10 million of turnover, and his biggest worry is about the growth and future. And Jeremy is really not alone. With advent of AI, the pressure on law firms and generally professional services firms is becoming very, very high. More and more customers use AI, which means that the professional services are becoming commoditized. More competitors come into the industry and compete with existing professional services firms. And what that means is that professional services firms need to become efficient. Next slide, please. And this efficiency has to come from somewhere. And most professional service firms, like Jeremy, don't really have enough data on their hands to know what's really going on. And so our mission is to create a platform, and which we have already created, that downloads all the data across the enterprise and presents it as a SaaS product in a series of dashboards which give key KPIs about performance of an organization, meaning that guys like Jeremy can know where their business is at, make it more efficient, increase profitability, know which projects are making money, which are not, in utilization, and so on and so forth. Next slide with people, please. We are a team which is quite small. We are building the product at the moment. I've done about 20 years in building professional services firms, and most of the team has worked together before. Now, our major ask, next slide, please. Our major ask is to introduce us to investors. We're doing seed round of $250,000. We're SEIS approved in the UK, looking for those introductions for people who would be interested. Thank you. On to the demo.
Thank you, Yuri, and thank you for bearing with me.
So if you could give me permission, thank you. Would you just publish my share, please, too? Thank you. This is Supo. We focus on 2 dimensions for professional services businesses. One is business performance, so we report information around revenue, gross profit, billing, work in progress, and give them a rundown of how well they're performing against their target. And they can very easily drill into any of this information and look how well their contracts are performing, what it's performed well, what revenue, what is the GP, how much cost, how much opportunity cost, and various other KPIs, like, for example, budget utilization and how much revenue is being generated on those contracts. And we give this information to them in real time. And organizations are able to drill in and have a look exactly how well are their contracts doing. So here's an example one. I've got my demo contract, Northern Spicebush. You get to see your revenue, your gross profitability, billing, and work in progress. And actually, in real time, organizations can see, aha, I've got some revenue being created in this contract as a professional services firm through people doing work. But actually, the revenue flatlines, and my gross profit here on the right starts to reduce. So I need to speak to the customer and say to them, look, maybe we need more budget, or have a difficult conversation or something of that nature. The second dimension we look at and surface intelligence on is efficiency. Most professional services firms derive their revenue from people doing work. And so organizations need to know how well they're utilizing their people. On average, out of every 3 fee earners, 1 fee earner doesn't make any money for professional services firms. It's a really big problem. And so what we do is give that insight about what the utilization of people is, how much billable time they record, how much time they record overall, give this as a breakdown. And you can really drill into great detail, how well people are meeting their billable targets, how well they're recording time here on the right, and how much and how well the time is being realized ultimately into billable time. And the final question, quite often, or a very key question that organizations have, is really about, okay, well, I know I'm reasonably well utilized as the business, but which people actually bring me most money or least money and all those sorts of things. And we also enable the management of people to become more effective through better intelligence. And the way we do that is we can drill into any one of the people and look at a more micro level at each individual about their utilization, about the revenue that they're bringing into the business, about how much billable time they're generating, and how much time they're recording. For example, this guy here we're looking at, you can see hasn't been really recording his time in July and August. The rest of the time he's recorded his time very well. He's been generating revenue in sort of a patchy ways. Might not necessarily be the fault of this individual person, but it gives that business information about what they need to do, who they need to recruit, what kinds of people, maybe move the work around so that people are better utilized. And that is Supo in a nutshell, and that's my 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Yuri. If you'd like to stop your screen share for a second. I think I may just go to Aisha for the first question in a second. But well, just before I do that, can I ask you, everybody who's on here, to go and just add into Mentimeter whether or not you get it, you'd use it, you'd invest in it, or you'd recommend it to a friend. Let's see, and that buys Aisha just enough time to come up with her first question for Yuri, okay?
I've already been waiting on that one.
Come on then. What have you got?
Excellent. So I noticed that for an app like this, having multiple integrations is going to be supremely important, because most professional services businesses would probably all have a system in place, right? And I love the idea of having something that allows me to assess efficiency at a contract level as well as at a resource level. But I'd rather not have my resources doing project management across multiple different platforms. So do you have a roadmap for that? Does your product already have integrations available, probably with something like a Jira, which would be super useful for me? I use HubSpot quite a bit as a marketer. So where do things stand on that?
Yeah, so we have a huge number of integrations. We also integrate with things even if the integration doesn't exist. Our methodology is that we don't ask customers to change their systems. We rather connect to their systems. So we integrate with HubSpot, we integrate with Jira, Clockify, all kinds of tools, and we pull the data out to do the presentation. So we're not interested in making your input data. We're interested in reading the data out of basically whatever you got.
Excellent. Just a quick follow-up on that. Do you also offer consultative advice on how I should probably be setting up my review mechanisms? For example, if I'm a person who's running a 7 or 8 figure agency today, probably in the marketing space, I wouldn't know exactly what my performance charts need to look like. So how do I get around to actually building the right information dashboards?
Sure, that's a really good question. Thank you. Part of Supo is really about defining and measuring KPIs that really matter. So across dozens and hundreds of businesses we've spoken to, we know not just to measure things, but also specifically the things that really matter. So part of our onboarding process is essentially working consultatively with our customers and understand how their business works, and then present our KPIs in the way that's actually meaningful, both in terms of operational capability of the business and what they're trying to get to, whether it's efficiency, profitability, and all those good things. And that's really at the core of what we are. We're not just kind of a dashboarding platform, but rather we've thought through the KPIs that really make a difference and display them in a way that makes it very actionable for the businesses.
Great questions, Aisha. Thank you so much for opening the batting. And Rachel, you've seen this one before, right? Any quick questions or feedback to Yuri?
My first question is quite a simple one. Of your investors, what's the kind of minimum investment you're looking for per person?
We haven't got a minimum. We were hoping for initially an institutional investor who will do the whole lot, but we would be open to other offers and multiple investors.
Okay, that's good to know. I mean, I guess you work with law firms, accountants, I know. Are there other flavors of professional services that you're working with, or are you niching down at the moment?
You pretty much listed them. Typically speaking, it's accountants, lawyers, software consulting firms, marcoms agencies, sort of web design agencies in between there. Generally speaking, who people sell people's time for money.
Yes. Oh, so you do include IT consultancies and management consultants.
Yeah, big sector.
Yeah. That was the other bit. And I guess this, like you did explain to me before, but I'm going to ask just for the benefit of the room, what's your charging model?
So we charge on basis of the benefit that we generate for people. And the way we calculate it is we want to make sure that ROI on our platform is between 4 to 6 weeks. So under 50 people, we charge 6,000 a year. Up to 100 people, we charge 12. Up to 150, 18, and so on and so forth. And we know, roughly speaking, for those size of businesses, just 1 to 2% improvement in the KPIs that we display leads to almost a straightaway ROI, and that's how we model it.
Yeah. Thank you. I think it's. Right. I mean, having seen it before, it's an amazing solution. It's brilliant.
I mean, you are his target customer, right, Rachel? Or at least you were.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Why don't you have this already? Like, why does this not exist?
Given basically the main reason we haven't implemented it yet is because my business is going through a big period of change, and so it makes sense not to do it now. But otherwise, I would have done it immediately after the first conversation.
And I mean, does this not already exist within practice management tools and other things? Like,
the different elements that Supo brings together exist in software, but for small and medium-sized practices, they will have developed their systems organically. And so you do have all the data, but it's not all in one place. And so coming up with quite a lot of those metrics involves downloading information from 3 or 4 different systems and manually adapting it so that you're comparing the right things together. It actually costs quite a lot to get a build out, which either brings everything together, or to get one software system that captures all of the time and billing information in one place. To get that, it's the reporting at the individual efficiency level as well as the contract efficiency that doesn't fall naturally out of the systems that people tend to use.
Okay, fantastic. Well, look, Nick, I know you have a huge conflict of interest in giving any feedback at this point, given your other professional relationship with Yuri there. But is there anything you want to say before we move over to Prokhorov and his demo?
Well, I mean, I guess it's a question for Yuri, just to clarify, which is, I think a few people have mentioned it. There are lots of BI software of various types there. So why did you feel the need to set up Supo?
Sure. Thanks, Nick. Really, people either have a BI dashboard they build themselves, a set of spreadsheets that sort of turn into BI dashboards they build themselves, or they have a professional service automation system like an ERP platform. And in all of those cases, like Rachel said, they only provide bits of information. And actually, if you did it yourself, more often than not, it takes a long time. It's really slow to produce numbers. You find out 6, 8, 10 weeks when you've done the spreadsheet. And actually, quite often, it's quite error prone. If you think of doing big tables and numbers by hand in Excel, doesn't normally work out well. And so we set something up that did all the heavy lifting and did all the numbers and everything presenting into one place so that people didn't have to do those manual systems that they do today.
All right, thanks, buddy. All right, Prakhar, it's over to you, my friend. Let's have a
Thank you, everyone.
quick check. Yeah, okay, so remember, everybody, as he's speaking, make your votes in here so we can show them at the end. Your 5 minutes is
Hey,
now.
everyone. Yeah, so I'm looking for some feedback on the product and also raising a seed round. Can you move to the next slide? So yeah, we are a platform, the GenAI platform. And yeah, special thanks to Vitor. My team was in contact with him and he gladly gave us some insights on the product. So definitely an entrepreneur is our first ICP. So as we see, like there's so much happening for a single founder, just two guys. There's so much to do at the same time. And even with Gen AI, there's so many tools coming out every day, every week. Data security, there's so many questions. How do you mix that all up, right? And how do you make the best use of it? So that's where Qolaba comes in. It's an intuitive, unified assistant that smartly integrates, all the best tools that you need given what you want to. So it's using the best of AI, Gen AI. I'll explain further as we go. Next slide, please. All right. So yeah, my partner Akashan and I, we are high school friends. Our first company was e-commerce in automotive space, 2015 to 2018. Then I went to the US, did my master's, worked as an ML engineer for a huge trucking company. And yes, 2022, we just decided again. We started as a blockchain company first. There's a whole story about it. We were so concerned about data security, privacy, the Googles of the world, how they just utilizing our data, zero incentives. Yeah, with the blockchain system, a lot can be changed. So yeah, definitely. So it was a mix of AI and blockchain. Currently, we are focused mainly on AI because right now is the time. And yeah, we'll move to blockchain as we go further. Akash Tyagi, a big time entrepreneur, huge following. He's top 1.1% in India, ISC, one of the best institutes, and founder of an academy, founding team, an academy physics wala. So a huge name in the edtech space. And then Harshal, CMO, worked at Sony Discovery, so bringing great insights to the team. Next slide, please. All right. So yeah, these problems, what we discussed, yes, the productivity, it always existed, and there's new problems. There's so many tooling. So now is the time with Gen AI, you can make sense of it all. Now there's a software that can actually do things dynamically, given what you want to do. It's not just if else statements. So this is the perfect time to build such solutions that are highly dynamic, highly personalized. Perfect. All right. Should I share my screen now?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. All right. I guess you guys can see the screen.
Not yet. Yeah.
Not yet. Let me do it again.
There you are. There you are. You're there. You're an infinite
All right.
mirror now, but you're there. Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. So yeah, this is our Qolaba app, and it's a consumer product, and I'll log in. So what we have built is a platform where you can build a lot of solutions, configurable solutions for multiple use cases. So we have integrated the best of AI tooling, that's available. And the idea is to remove all the complexity of prompt engineering, understanding how things work, and just make it very easy, intuitive for the user to work around, right? So we have a very sophisticated chatbot and all the best of image generation, AI image editing. So I'll start off with a chatbot. So what we have done is it's very sophisticated. You have all the models available. Create post or canopy night. So it remembers complete. If you can switch models, between your chat, and all the intelligence best of models are available to the user within the same chat. Say you don't like the Claude's output, it still remembers your context. Maybe you want, Gemini, Google's, uh, you can just subsequently call for most questions, just ask about the context. So it's fully context managed, and we have added many much more tools to it. So for example, this is, you can manage your knowledge bases, you can attach endless files, 20, 30, 40 files, be it your images, audio, video, what are these images, right? So, the best of Gen AI, all the toolings, you can understand images, files, PDFs. So if you know ChatGPT, it just covers 5,000 words and that of a PDF file, but we take whole books. It's a very sophisticated RAG pipeline. You can, just shove in any PDF, any document, and we're gonna process that for you, and you can just, bring that all within your chat. You can scrape URLs. You need some information specific from a website, you just add that website URL. You can just add it there to your knowledge base. It's all there for you. And I'll move on to the create a banner for starter page with tags. NLP night them, right? So we can generate images here. This is very sophisticated content generation tool. So now I'll move on to how this is configurable as a platform. So this is a platform we have configured for one of our clients. It's a furniture manufacturing company, right? So we have set up, just clickable buttons for them, whatever their use case was. It's the same thing. We just add these keywords for them and provide the best AI models. So you just come here, the designing team, they just come here, they choose what they need, and they hit generate, and they are producing, tons of designs, and they are producing designs using this. So this is a deployed solution for one of our clients. And similarly, it scales to many other industries. You can go apparel. Let me just move it. Right. So this is for apparel studio. It's just one click setup. We just need these keywords, and you can configure it however you want for your use case. And
You're a dangerous guy, Prakar, because I really like what you're doing, but I need to stop you soon. Just give you 10, 15 minutes, 10 or 15 more seconds, okay?
Yeah, similarly, we have we have our API platform as well. And, you can integrate all these APIs within your application seamlessly. So that's the idea. Like, we are trying to prompt engineer, fine tune things, and these are RAG patterns, everything's right there for our users. So yeah, we are scaling horizontally. We want our users to build vertical solutions on top of it. And yes, like the best of UI, generative UI, it's all, we're building such UI that is always changing for you. Given your prompt, it's talking to you via UI. That's called generative UI. So that's the idea. Very sophisticated UI, but at a platform level. So with API, end-to-end API to UI, we are bridging this gap for AI adoption. Yep.
Okay, fantastic. Well, look, this is the sort of feedback you're getting at the moment by people saying whether or not they get it or whether they recommend it to a friend and so on. So just take a moment to have a little look at that. And then I'll ask Nick if you've got any first feedback or questions that you want to give to Prakar.
Yeah. Thanks, Prakar. Yeah, thanks for your demonstration. It looks very like a sophisticated system. I had two questions. One was, first question was kind of how easy it would be for a competitor to copy that. Would it be easy for someone else to do the same as you? Would be one question.
I mean, yeah, if they spend 2 years and a lot of hours, someone can pull this off as well. But that all the knowledge of AI, experience, ML team, we are engineers from Boeing, from Walmart, and it's really hard to do. Like, this tech is coming out every week, and we are reading papers, integrating things every week. So yeah, you have to catch up. Like we are replacing TCS, like huge companies already on some projects. So we are very heavily working with big enterprises, especially at tech. They need a lot of content, and like we are building solutions very specific to their use cases, but it's all the same platform. It's going to run locally on your laptop to the servers. You can scale the same software we have written, so cost is a huge problem. So we are releasing these models. Once you open the browser, the model is downloaded right there in your browser, and you're chatting locally, to the model. So the cost is almost zero for that session, although they must be very minimal. So every token is counted. We are not using any Llama index, Llama patch, so that not we count every token. We know everything that's happening, so that it's very cost efficient and very secure for the users.
Well, that's awesome that you've actually got some proprietary technology that's not very easy for some, unless they've got a lot of skill and time to actually develop alongside it. And just a quick other question, which was going to be around. So it sounds like you've got very wide applications to lots of things. Have you got some target sort of low-hanging fruit, sectors that you want to go for in the first place?
Yeah. So we already have 200 paying customers. People are continuing their subscriptions, Australia, US, Canada, Brazil. And we are completely organic. We are not doing any performance marketing. We are a bootstrap company. Me and my founders, we are doing everything by ourselves. And with the question on stream, yes, Vertex AI is one model that can do multimodal images and text, but that's just one intelligence, right? How do you bridge all of these? There's so many models coming up, and cost benefits. It's still all your proprietary data going to Vertex API. You want local llamas running on your things. So there's so many things happening around. So that's where we come in. Like we'll help you, integrate that however you want.
Fantastic, thanks for that. Just before I come to Vitor, because I know he's one of your user community at the moment, I wanted to ask Nikki. Nikki, what do you think of this at first sight?
I'm quite interested in it. We're playing with a lot of Gen AI stuff at the moment, and I almost see it as a bit of kind of an aggregator, and I don't know if I've understood that right, but I like the fact that actually I don't have to kind of flip between everything. It just kind of is all there. And I put 5 in terms of recommending it to a friend, because I'm having these conversations with people in the community and friends. We're all just playing with everything and using it, some more successfully than others. And actually I see the value in the time saving of this.
Indeed. Yeah. We've heard that, like people, so speech, audio, video, all these modalities, right? We're bridging it all up. And very soon it's going to be all run via function calling. So you just type a prompt, the UI is going to pop up right there within that screen. You don't have to click those buttons, go here and there. So that's the advantage of Gen AI, like highly personalized, whatever you need, you type there, and that UI is popping up for you, giving you a use case. So it's going to be very powerful.
It's the UI I dislike about a lot of the current platforms. So it's interesting.
Yep. It's going to be highly personalized as you go, like few months down the line. Completely dynamic for the user.
Thanks, Nikki. Vitor, where do you use this? Why can't you do this already? What use case is it fulfilling for you? You're on mute, buddy.
I don't believe I just did this, but yeah. So I use it as a consumer, as Prakhar was saying. So of course I used to have ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity, Grok, etc., open in different tabs, and then sometimes the answer is not good, or sometimes Gemini just says, I cannot answer this, and just answered 2 questions ago, which is crazy. And it's very easy on the same chat as Prakhar was showing to change from one model to another, and it keeps the context. And now it seems obvious, but the first time I saw it was like, whoa, this is great. This helps a lot. It saves time for a AI power user. And I know that not everybody is an AI power user yet, but I don't see a future where people don't have their assistants opening on their desktop all the time.
Yeah. So the idea is that you don't have to be a power user, that there's just a prompt box, whatever you type, it's happening right there dynamically for you. But we're moving there. We're gonna release that.
Very clearly. Just when I say power user, it's not that I have to know everything about prompting and etc. But I'm using constantly, even if in a dumb way. I'm using it constantly.
Yes, totally. Yeah, it's gonna be integral part of lives. Like it just generates work for you. It's it's just awesome.
Okay, fantastic. Well, for anybody who's on the live stream or anybody in the panel, even if you've got more questions, just put them into the Mentimeter chat and we can come to those potentially at the end. But right now, we're going to pop over to Vitor and he's going to tell us all about AskCory. Just have to ask you, man, where did the name come from?
So before it was Catapult when we were doing the prototype, but then we discovered very quickly that there was a marketing agency with that name already. So we wanted something simple, small, and Cory popped up. There is a longer story, but I can say it in another time or in private, honestly.
Okay, fantastic. Well, you have 5 minutes. It starts now.
Okay, so Cory is your marketing specialized assistant. So when you want to do marketing strategy, marketing plans, executing or improving campaigns, Cory is here to help you with that specific scope and knowledge. So if you can go to the next one, we already have some paying customers, about 850 trials already created, but we are always looking for new feedback. So if you know marketing freelancers, small agencies, business consultants that like to try new tools to become more efficient, have new ideas, please, intros would be great. And if you can go to the next one, as a thank you, if they or you like the platform, we can of course provide you a discount, or if you just want to provide some feedback for now, but keep connected with us and our roadmap. Of course, in the future, we can give access to new features or other discounts that can appear. But for the next slide, please, why Cory, if it's not obvious yet? Small agencies, marketing freelancers, they have to do not only new marketing strategies for the current customers, but also proposals for new customers. Sometimes they don't know the industry. They have to do a lot of research, going on ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google, or whatever, and that consumes time. Not everybody is great yet on doing the right prompts as well. And when it comes up to prepare the next marketing presentation, you can have that blank page syndrome like John is having here, or is just lazy, which is fine. And at the same time, Mary, that runs a small marketing agency, she feels the pressure of the clients cutting the budgets for marketing purposes, and also there is a lot of small businesses and entrepreneurs trying softwares like do it yourself, and actually, AskCory also have some entrepreneurs and small businesses using the platform as paying customers. If you can go to the next one, please. So me and JP are the co-founders of AskCory. We have been working together since 2021, and our experience combined, even before 2021, we already created successfully 6 different products, and we did 2 exits. And we think we are pretty good at discovering problems that are worth to be solved. Not only the problems, but also the ideal customer profiles, because, for instance, AskCory started with a different persona. We did a discovery process, and we find out that actually marketing people and specifically freelancers and small agencies are the ones with the best fit. Still, we are trying to discover even more specific use cases for these personas where the product can help. And for the next slide, why now? So as we have been talking already during this session, AI is everywhere and also helping the competition to increase, budgets becoming more lean when the clients are looking for solutions, and clients are also looking for AI solutions. Managers from small to big companies have plans, if they are not using already, have plans to introduce more AI tools into their stack. And right now, I can show you very quickly how AskCory works. Let me just present my screen. Okay, just a sec. Let me know when you can see, please. You can, I guess. Okay, so let's do a very quick example with, why not Canopy? I will just get the URL of Canopy homepage instead of me describing what is Canopy about. And as you can see, you don't need to know how to do a prompt. Cory will guide you, or the marketing professional in this first stage, to provide the right answers. So then you can have a proper marketing plan or marketing strategies or tactics, depending on what you are trying to achieve. So I will assume that all the answers from AskCory and from this specific page are correct. Of course, if it was a real case with more time, we could edit the answers. Let's say that Canopy, for instance, is trying to recruit or have more entrepreneurs in the community. And Cory also can provide more creative or conservative type of marketing strategies. It depends on if it's a new company, if it's a go-to-market phase, or also depending on the user. Is he an experienced CMO, or is just a junior marketing professional that just arrived to the market? Let's go with a mix of both. And yeah, let's say I will answer some more questions, like what are the key services of Canopy? I will assume again that Cory knows better than me what to answer. What is the unique selling proposition? A lot of people don't know how to answer this. Cory provides already a suggestion based on the specific URL. And the main business goal at the moment, let's say that, yeah, we are trying to increase brand awareness of Canopy. Why not? In which countries? I don't really know. Let's say globally, which is too broad, but just
do Portugal.
Portugal. Okay, I will share this project with you afterwards, so you can see the results. In which time frame? Well, for brand awareness, as I said, let's say 12 months at least. And the budget, I have no ideas to, but I will put
very low budget. Very low.
I can put zero. Zero. So perfect. Okay, no paid ads for sure, no billboards. And so right now, Cory, considering your audience and what Canopy does, and also the restrictions that we have, like the budget, for example, we'll try to come up with the best strategies to acquire, in this case, entrepreneurs for the community. All this is based not only in OpenAI that we have integrated. In the future, we can also have other models integrated, but also on the Bullseye framework that you can read here about what is the Bullseye framework. So Cory, the assistant, will try to find what are the best tactics under or inside those marketing and sales channels. Okay, so you can see here 3, and sorry, this is in Portuguese, and I tell you why something in the URL or in the page is in Portuguese. So it's great because Cory adapts to the language of the URL. You can change it in the settings. I can do it here very, very quickly. So let's put English, American, update, assistant, and then
English simple, especially for me.
3 more
English simple.
English simple. Okay, I don't know if you can do that, but so you get the idea. It will start saying like, okay, do community building, or try to go on LinkedIn groups. I'm translating now, or try to do guest posts about entrepreneurship. And now it's coming up with new strategies. I already have another example open here, so just to be quicker. Also with Canopy, in this case, it's in English. So you can see that I already generated a bunch of different tactics. There is one that I think it's probably better than the other ones, or for the current stage. And I already generated also a plan for it. So I have the context why Cory thinks that this can be a good strategy for Canopy, in this case with a different budget, okay? And it also provides examples, depending on the case, can be closer or more distant from the industry. And then a step-by-step guide, what are the main steps to implement this strategy, brand storytelling in this case. What you need to implement this strategy, what are the requirements. You can edit all of these, that is AI generated, okay? And also very important, the metrics, because you have to then see if you are getting the results or not, and you can also, of course, change it. And when you have questions, specific questions about how to implement these, or give me other examples, you can make questions about this strategy in specific, one of the suggested questions, or you can write your own, and Cory will always answer with the context, not only of your company, project, whatever it is, and the context, but also for the specific channel. Just to end, before I go, you can continue, and you can also do other marketing questions on the assistant menu. We are using GPT-4o, so you will have good quality as of today answers from Cory. And you can also create, for now, we have specific UI for creating blog posts, social media posts, and also banners for ads. And we intend to add more type of digital marketing assets, because again, we cannot go on the TV or create billboards or build billboards for you offline channels, but for the online ones, we want to facilitate even more than the implementation of the strategy. So this is an example of a blog post that maybe could make sense for cannot be a website or blog, according to the the SEO policies, and targeting a specific keyword that you insert here with a tone of voice. You can also add your own tone of voice or different tone of voices to create blog posts and also social media posts. I'm talking a lot already and not tracking the time, so Stu,
yeah,
let
you
me
totally
know
messed
if
with my time in span. You've used all the Q&A and everything, but it's been brilliant, right? I love the way you did the Canopy demo there as well. Thank you so much. This is the kind of feedback you're getting so far, so it seems pretty responsive. I'm just going to go, rather than big Q&A and feedback, I'm just going to go to a couple of marketeers in the audience and see your first impressions of this stuff. So Nikki, then Asta, then Nick. What's the first impression?
I really like it. I would use it, and I would recommend it to a friend.
Okay.
I like the time saving. I like the aggregate. My only possible reservation, having used a lot of the Gen AI marketing in the past, is I can almost now predict what it's going to tell me, because the information it's generating is sort of not fresh. So I suppose my question is, I know it's obviously very personalized, which I love. I loved your example with Canopy. How, if it's only using OpenAI, is it able to keep up to date with new trends or the latest in marketing tactics?
I'm not going to ask Richard to answer that one. You can hold back, brother, hold back.
Okay.
That's the first impressions. What's the first impression? Good,
yes,
bad, or ugly?
I think in today's day, what really matters is agility and speed to market, right? And I do believe that this product definitely delivers on that. And I think marketers are always looking for ways in which you can stay on top of trends and deliver value to your current and potential customers. And I'm super excited to see this.
Thanks for that, Nick. And then Aisha, if you close us out on this, just first impressions.
Yeah, no, I thought it was super interesting, and I would definitely take a look at it. I guess the only thing I was kind of interested with, and it was kind of back to Nikki's point, is that to some extent AI tends to look at what's already there in the past, and sometimes you need to be thinking about what needs to be different. And I don't know how that does that without sort of a bit of human intervention, but.
I feel like you guys are all going to call Vital straight after this and have a really good chat with him. Aisha, what's your final reflection? And then we're going to go to
I love it. I was going to say that sign me up right away. I just have one quick ask, which is quite similar to the other questions and the doubts that we've had, which is essentially how do we personalize it without having a theme for the specific company or for each project? And second, I found that generally the GPT 4.0 model is not extremely great at reading through URLs, right? So how are we circumventing that particular issue? Because when I look at anything that has to be read or, like references having to be pulled through, I'd probably move to Perplexity rather than GPT 4.0. So how are we balancing that? Those are my only two questions.
You guys can go in the WhatsApp chat later and have a really good chat about that one. Thank you so much. Really good. Well done, Vitor. We're going to go to Youni now. And Janae and Asta, your time to tell your story is here. So good luck. And I'll do a little bit better job on the timekeeping for you guys, okay?
Sounds good. Amazing. So I'll take it first and then Janae will join me. So welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about Youni, and what we're looking at doing is really to make university finances and life for an international student so much easier than it was. So next slide, please. So quick introduction again to Jinay and I. So Jinay has actually been a serial entrepreneur, especially in the overseas education space, and he has had 2 successful exits already, and has a strong education counselor network in India, which we definitely want to leverage in terms of our go-to-market. And on the flip side, I've had a strong career in tech across Uber, Skyscanner, Facebook, and Google, and have actually been very much at the forefront of marketing, especially in the realm of digital. So been working very much with some of the largest fintech players in Asia Pacific, and of course, very passionate about marketing and really leveraging it for getting great products to consumers. So next slide. So taking a step at the real problem that we're trying to solve here. So we do believe that the international student financial journey is completely broken, right? So as an international student, and I know there's some people on this call who also study in different countries, there are 3 key problems that we fundamentally see, right? In the current state and scenario, of course, as a student moving from one country to another, you often battle a lot of similar issues. For example, high exchange rate fees, of course, unreliable cash. So a lot of people still carrying cash. Of course, you have things like Forex cards, but they are also generally not accepted anywhere in a lot of places, and the usage and utility of it is going down. And of course, when you move to a different market, such as the UK, you have very, very long waiting times for getting a bank appointment, and there are a lot of complexities, especially for a student who is 16 or 17 years old going for their undergrad education, never really walked into a bank before, right? How do we actually simplify this journey and enable a student to get a bank account while sitting in their home country even before they arrive at their university? And if you look at the size of this audience, it's almost 4.7 million students globally that we're looking to tackle and capture as a market. And all of them face a very similar problem. Your first tuition fee or deposit to your college or your accommodation, they're all high ticket prices, and you're just paying through your nose if with your current credit cards. And while you move there as well, you're dealing with cash, you're dealing with Forex cards that are not reliable, and that's fundamentally the problem that we're trying to solve. So over to you, Jinay. I think there's one slide before. Yeah.
So at Uni, with the problem that Asta really mentioned, with the whole finances around students traveling abroad to study, we really want to tap into them as soon as they decide to go abroad to study, which is as soon as they receive their offer letter. So as soon as they received a confirmed offer letter from the UCAS there itself, students would be able to open a bank account in the UK. So we're enabling that process. So he already has, through Uni, he has an account open in the UK before he travels. So which means the student has a local UK account. So currently students would remit money from their home country account through a SWIFT payment to a university. However, that takes a long time, high Forex charges as well. And for universities as well, they're facing a big challenge in the SWIFT inbound payments that they receive from multiple students across the globe. A university generally takes about 4 to 5 days to revert back with a confirmation that we've received your payment. And that period has also been hectic and stressful for parents, especially for parents who are doing their remittance the first time. With Uni, because Uni's students account is a local UK account, therefore it's a faster payment for students as well to remit money to their university from a UK account. So they get a confirmation directly as well, and even universities can actually see that money is received from Jinay Sabla's UK account. That's what we're trying to solve as well. Alongside, students would be also be able to receive a virtual debit card, thereby enabling them to, as soon as they land on Heathrow Airport, what we really want to do is students to not carry cash or Forex cards to avoid and to solve for that problem. Therefore, the virtual card would enable students to just tap at Heathrow and get their first coffee as soon as they land in the UK, right? And thereby creating a larger community of all international students, which is just not to payments to university and accommodation, but also peer-to-peer payments as well. And at Uni, we believe that today we've got banks like Revolut is there, Monzo is there, but still there is a bigger niche. I would still believe in a way where international student community, which also caters to a spending as well in the country. How can we create a network and a specific build to suit for them, and a bank that an international student globally can call, okay, we're associated with Uni. That's what we're trying to build here. And we also have successfully built our network by onboarding education counselors in India and across as well. We currently have a waiting list of students as well who are onboarding on our website to be onboarded to Uni as well. So we're just about 3 months to launch and currently raising our round. So that's Uni. We could not get you and I as a domain, so Asta was smart enough to say, okay, we can call it YOU, so it becomes Uni as well. So that's where we are at. Again, Asta has studied in Singapore, so an Indian student who's lived as an international student in Singapore for undergrad. And myself, I've been as well in the I did my undergrad from University of Exeter as well, and been associated with the Canopy community for a while. So as an international student, we've been through, we know what the problems are, and right from the time when we don't want our parents really to see our statements of where we're spending each and every money on bars and nightclubs. So, we own our banking as well, because for a lot of international students, right, parents are really skeptical about what's going on, right? So that's what we're building. And over to you guys.
That's it, brother. That's it. That's it. Let's see. Rachel, you got a few numbers in your head. What do you think about this banking kind of idea? Come in, Rachel. Rachel, are you on mute again?
I think you put me backstage.
Sorry about that.
That's
Nobody
okay.
puts Rachel in the corner. That's what they say, right?
Yeah, I won't take it too personally. No, I think this is brilliant, actually. I mean, just becoming a student can be quite complicated for people who've never been away from home before, let alone if you're in a different country trying to deal with the UK banks for the first time. So I think anything that it sets it up for people and then gives them a nice intuitive app that they can use with all the privacy. I must admit, my mind went to what about overseas students in the sixth form at UK schools as well. So pre the university time, at that point they want to start having independence themselves. I think at the moment that's quite difficult, and so they do tend to be stuck with their parents' accounts. So potentially the sort of 16 to 18 bracket while they do their A-levels seems like quite an attractive time to do this as well.
Interesting. Thanks, Rachel. Aisha, what do you think of this one?
It's extremely convenient, and I'm extremely curious to figure out how we are looking at the possibility of things like joint accounts, which can be handled by two sets of people, just so that there's better ease at controlling funds and budgets. Because trust me, when I was 16, I was not particularly aware about what was happening with my bank account, right? And I didn't have an idea about my debits. So is there a way for us to identify things like alarms? Does the system cover for what a 16-year-old may not think about?
So just to jump in here for a second. So we're actually starting off with the undergrads. So students are really 18-year-olds and as they're coming in. So it's really not at the beginning for A-levels or high school. Where as soon as the student's in the undergrad and he's starting his journey of freedom away from home, and by 18, I think we want to bring in, I think that's a great point as well, because we are bringing in financial literacy for sure. So we want to, in our platform, what we're trying to build in here is we are promoting students to save. We know as a fintech, promoting spends is somewhere we make money, but we want to definitely encourage students to save as well. So we're adding some gamification tools whereby students need to save so that they have loans to pay for as well, right? Because going further now, education loan is where back in the day where education loan was not really opted by a lot. Today, a lot of people are students, especially international students, are taking education loan. So the saving aspect, definitely, we want to bring in the financial discipline, I would say, and yeah.
Okay, so we're just about out of time, but I'm going to ask Yuri for one last reflection before we move over to Nikki for her bit.
Oh, wow. I think it's fantastic. It's absolutely brilliant. I've done a lot of international banking in my life, and it's difficult, particularly if you don't have credit history in the country where you're arriving. My only concern, which I put in there, I don't think it needs an answer now, though, is that there are institutions that try and do this and fail. Revolut during Brexit, for example. So just curious on cross-border compliance and how that's dealt with. But it's a big topic. But I think it's absolutely fabulous what you guys are doing.
Thank you, Yuri. And I think you guys can probably have a chat afterwards. I think, Janae and Asta, for me, the biggest thing that's sort of in my mind because of my university stuff this week is really potentially thinking about how the visa changes will affect your market in the UK. So probably 3 or 4 universities that I've spoken to in the last 2 weeks have said our numbers are really down. We've got less international students in the UK because of the visa changes, particularly around the family stuff. So yeah, but hey, it's Nikki's 5 minutes time. So let's pop over and hear all about Slush, hey? Nikki, over to you, my friend. Bring us home.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. So as a quick introduction, I'm going to leave this slide on there because it's ultimately an event and you are all invited. If you haven't heard of Slush before, Slush is one of Europe's biggest tech startup events, and it's termed as the most founder-focused event on earth. It started about 25 years ago as a meetup with about 150 entrepreneurs in Helsinki in Finland. And you might not think that Helsinki is the tech mecca of Europe, and they kind of knew that too. So they wanted to create a bit of a groundswell and come up with something that actually would really support their local founder network, and so launched Slush. At its biggest, it went up to 25,000 attendees pre-COVID, and they've brought that down to 10 to 13,000 after COVID. And what you'll find if you go to Helsinki Slush is one huge warehouse, 4 amazing stages, some incredible speakers, and one-on-one connections with investors for founders. And people want to talk to you. They want to hear your pitch. They want to invest with you. Some of the Slush investors do all their investments at Slush. And to expand, Slush recognized that actually they wanted to be able to create a community around this and support other communities in doing similar events. So much like TED do TEDx events, Slush now do Slush events. And we brought Slush to the UK with Liverpool for the first time last year. Next slide, please. Funny story behind this, actually. We went through a competitive pitch process to actually win the opportunity to bring Slush to the UK. We pitched our heart out. We thought it went really well. We actually came second to Liverpool. And in our feedback session, they gave us some really great feedback. And they're like, this is amazing. We really love what you do. And we suggested, actually, would Liverpool be up for working with us to bring it to the UK for the first time? And we'll do a North-South Reading and Leeds Festival style event, and we'll do it on the same day. And we worked out that if you were in the UK, you could get to any Slush event in the UK within 4 hours. And Liverpool, thankfully, are really innovative and are run by founders themselves, said, yeah, let's do this. So last year we launched it, and we've got some stats from last year. So we ran a pitch competition last year, had 40 entries, 10 finalists on the day and 1 winner. We sold out 250 tickets. So we had just over 200 attendees in the room. We curated the speakers. So even though we had sponsors, we had about 20 sponsors, supporters and exhibitors. We were really careful to make sure that the people speaking on the stage were the founders. It wasn't anybody trying to sell you their platform or sell you their service. It was founders telling their founder stories. And we did crunch the data afterwards, and 63% of the people in the room were founders, investors, budding entrepreneurs, and VCs. And that number at Slush itself is about 70%. If you've been to Slush before in Helsinki or any of the Slush events around the world, then you know that it's also just a really cool vibe. And for us in Cornwall, it's kind of, we're looking around and there's very little startup support locally, which is why we end up bringing it to the UK. We were the recipient of a lot of European funding because it's reported quite widely that Cornwall is one of the most deprived areas in Europe. And with the end of EU funding with Brexit, all of our startup support completely dried up. Our incubator disappeared, and founders were coming to us, a small community network, saying, look, where do we go for the startup support? And that is why we brought Slush to the UK. Next slide, please. Thank you. We're a really, really small team. This is my team in front of the Eden Project, which is quite an iconic venue in Cornwall. There's myself and my fellow director, Holly. We've got marketing support, and my team also do a lot in terms of local education. we're a non-profit organization, and the most important thing we do is teach children to code, which doesn't sound like a very entrepreneurial story. But we're in most of the primary and secondary schools in Cornwall. We're an organization called Tech Cornwall, and we were founded by the community to help serve the community. And so when actually we had founders locally in the tech sector coming to us saying that where do we go for support, we recognized that we needed a way of actually showing how to do it, and Slush was a way of doing it. Next slide, please. And this is a little bit of insight. So you're getting a little bit of pre-news here. These are just 5 of the confirmed speakers that we've got. These are all entrepreneurs themselves, and they're all in the tech sector. They are multi-exited founders, and they're not just going to turn up, do their bit and leave. They are there all day. There is no green room. They are accessible to you, and they are there to go and have one-on-one conversations to support you in your journey. And all of our speakers are teed up with that as well. So they are there to just mingle and talk. But there's also 3 really great opportunities for you as a founder, if you're interested, to come and actually raise the profile of your startup. One is a pitch competition, which we did last year, was hugely successful. The second is a venture village, which is basically, we'll give you a complimentary exhibition stand where you can bring your tech along on a laptop or a piece of hardware, whatever it is, and just showcase it to the people in the room as part of a wider exhibitor. And there's about 15 other exhibitors around the room, all offering ecosystem support. And then we're running a demo night as well with Canopy. Sorry, that's my time going. With Canopy Community, who, working with Stuart and his team, we're going to run one at Cornwall at the venue in the evening as well. So you'll be able to attend this live, but also if you are joining us online, you'll also be able to tune in as well. One really important element before I sort of wrap up is there's also an app as part of this. And what Slush have done to support that networking, we can leave a lot of this up to serendipity of who you're going to meet on the day, but actually they've supported us with an app that will help you then connect directly with investors. If you're an investor, you can directly connect with founders, and you can set up one-on-one meetings during the day. So you can pre-plan your event, see who else is in the room, and make those really, really important connections. And if I've got time, if you want to end the slide there's a little discount code just for you guys as well. But to give you a little taster, I have got just a 1 minute, if we've got time, little...
You can do it. You can do it. We just have slightly less Q&A.
There we go. A little taster. And like I say, if you have been to Slush before, you'll know that it's quite dark. They do it in November in Helsinki. There's about 5 foot of snow on the ground. We don't have snow ever in Cornwall. It's the hottest place in the UK. But our event is right by the beach. Last year we did it in a nightclub. This year we're doing it in a cinema. But we're by the beach in Newquay. And a lot of what we do in Cornwall is we lean into the fact that we're a destination, and we've got amazing food here. We've got great beaches. And so for startup founders, I moved to Cornwall away from a startup in London, even though I absolutely loved working in and out of London. Coming back on the train and coming into Cornwall was like a breath of fresh air, and you just unwind. And so it's also a place that you can come and actually connect with other people in a really low pressure environment. I come from a startup background. We got our seed funding from an investor showcase through just a really interesting conversation with somebody who just really loved what we were doing, liked us as founders, and then connected us. And so that's really the environment that I wanted to create with Slush. And we worked really hard as a team to make it informal, but make those conversations happen so that the connections are serendipitous and not forced, and there's no pressure on the founder because, yeah, you quite frankly are under enough pressure. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. There we go. And feel free to ask me any questions you may have.
Perfect stuff. So I think we should go to Nick first, and I will just share my screen with some stuff. But Nick, what's your thoughts, feedback, and of course you're going to be involved in the demo night, aren't you? Where are you, Nick? You disappeared from my screen.
Nick says that he went to leave. Yeah.
Okay. Rachel, what do you think about this? You weren't at Slush last year, were you?
No, I haven't been. I was hoping to come this year, but my diary's turning out like I may not be able to make it, which is a shame. But I do think it looks really interesting. I was talking to someone just the other day who was absolutely raving about the Helsinki one, and just the way it was set up, and yeah, just as you said, the very founder-focused vibe of the whole thing. Yeah, he didn't mention the darkness though, so I might revisit that with him and just mention
it was a bit
sunshine.
peculiar, I have to say. It sort of made sense for the theme of the event, but yeah, it was a bit weird to have the beach outside in the sunshine and to be inside in the nightclub. But I've always wanted to do it though, when in a cinema, so for me it's a great opportunity coming up. Victor, you've been to Web Summit, you've been to lots of these kind of things. What do you think about Slush in Cornwall and what Nicky's trying to do here?
Yeah, from what I hear, the peer-to-peer connection, founders like you, people that is doing or did stuff like you is the most important thing. Like, it took some years for me to realize how to navigate Web Summit, to be honest. It's okay, it's just different. And you have to know that Web Summit in Lisbon, you have people from corporates as well trying to hiring. So don't waste your time with them unless you want to be hired. So yeah, this kind of, closer event in the sense that you can actually talk with people, and with this low pressure, it sounds like having lower pressure. Still, if you are raising, but I believe you need to know the other side and deeper connections to make a partnership, whatever it is, investment, selling, whatever it is. People buy from people in all the ways. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. I just have a question maybe for the follow-up. How did you vet the founders, the startups to be at the event?
Do you mean to pitch or the speakers?
No, even so, if I want to be an attendee, like everybody can be an attendee as a founder?
Yeah, so we do it on ticket tiers. So we copy Slush and their model. So you either buy a startup ticket or an investor ticket or an ecosystem ticket. And then on your badges, I've got last year's badge right here. It's basically labeled so that you can then see, okay, I'm an investor or a startup, and then you kind of know who to connect with on the room as well. But it's also optional. I'm aware a lot of investors like to keep a low profile, so the ecosystem ticket is the same price as the investor ticket, so they can go under the radar if they want.
It's very funny at Web Summit, isn't it? Because you got the badges, so it says investor on it, and people turn the badges round so that nobody comes and talks to them, or they hide them in the jumper or whatever. Aisha, any last thoughts from you to close it out before we go to our little bit of feedback section?
Absolutely. I love the idea of how open it is. I think it's great that it's welcoming to the ecosystem as well. I think I was just wondering again if a little more on the agenda, especially when we're talking about things like the Venture Village. I'd love to explore it. The idea of coming across, like, I'd love to dabble around with exhibits. So this is really exciting as an opportunity as well for an attendee. But I do see the possibility of it getting overwhelming for either set of people, right? Whether it's the investors who are actually going around and trying to figure out which is the best buy. So perhaps some sort of speed dating to make the conversations easier and to make those tough conversations happen quicker. Yeah, I think something like that would definitely be great.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for the feedback. That's helpful. I'm hoping the app will be a new one for us this year. The platform we're using is called Brella.io, and we looked at a few of them, and then Slush actually made the decision for us. It's not the one Slush use themselves. They developed their own, but it's brilliant. And I think it will do a lot of that without creating an environment for people that might not love the speed dating vibe. But I'm hoping it will work well, because actually people can then plan their time and make those connections as well.
Excellent.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, everybody. All right, time to eat our own dog food. Please give a little insight here whether or not you'd recommend DemoNight to a friend. We're always trying to learn. Here is an opportunity for you to type in anything you would want to say to someone about DemoNight and why they should come to it. I tell you, when we did this in London last month, it was phenomenal what was on here. Some of these things, honestly, there was a couple that I nearly cried at because it couldn't have been any more apt to what we tried to create in London last month, particularly around the diversity and inclusion side. So it was really, really special, some of that feedback. So please, if you get a chance, whether you're on the live stream or actually doing the demos and stuff tonight, please go ahead. And then this is the bit that we always do in every startup survey, which is, if there's one thing you could change about DemoNight, what would it be? Obviously, change to make it better. In your own eyes, put that in there, and that'll help us with our change program and our iterations. All right, so great to have you all here. And I guess I would ask you, Nikki, how's DemoNight worked for you today? What do you think of it? Give us your feedback in the moment.
Yeah, it's good. And it's what I found really unexpected was the amount of support I was given leading up to this, and your emails with who to connect with. I had calls with Pedro and Chuck, and they were just so nice. And we got talking. I was on the phone to each of them for an hour, and I just thought, actually, we made other connections, and it's the community I think we shouldn't underestimate the value of that, because it's not just here's your 5 minutes and this is a demo night. It's actually everything that comes from connecting. And I can already see people in the room are connecting with me on LinkedIn, and I really appreciate that as well. So it's a very good experience, and thank you for having me.
Thanks, Nikki. Victor, you've obviously done these in person in Lisbon. Now this is your first remote one with us. What's your feedback today? How's it been as an experience?
Well, this was great, but in person is always different, right? Everything in person is better. But as I'm not in the UK or somewhere else that is not Lisbon, it's a great way still to get feedback and to make new connections. I think there are the two
Didn't get
most
to unleash your
things.
full charisma, Victor. Is that what you're saying? Remote.
Whoa, yeah, going crazy. Totally my style.
All right, fantastic. So, Yuri, any feedback from you before we go?
Yeah, super great. Thank you for your time, everyone. It's been a great experience.
Brilliant. Thank you. Prakhar, this was your first one with us, so anything you want to share at the end?
Yeah, very, very warm, inviting community. Yeah, definitely. I'll recommend this. I would connect with you all. And yeah, this is very good for me. Thank you so much.
So the next one is in September, second Wednesday of the month in London at the Better Space Incubator, which is a social enterprise incubator on the Farringdon Road, which is in collegiate collaboration with City University. That's one of their incubators. It's in person. It will also be live streamed. Really looking forward to it. And as everybody probably knows by now, we're doing a monthly in-person demo night in London for the next year with City University. And I mentioned that for several reasons. Firstly, if you're in London, as I hope Asta and Janae are going to be, then we get to do all this. Victor can come along and kind of launch himself into the moment. We've actually got 3 Portuguese startups coming from a health tech accelerator into London over the next couple of months, specifically to make use of the platform, testing out London and the UK as a place for them, and really excited about that. And that's an opportunity for everybody who's watching this and who's involved in this. We've got a place in London for the next year, but we're working very hard with all the founders that are involved in those incubators, but it provides a platform for anybody in the community that wants to come and test out in London, wants to come and be part of that community. Also, the incubators have said, so this is City University's Venture Space and Better Space. You can land there, you can use it as your co-working space, you can come and meet the other founders and be part of those ecosystems. And this is in the center of the City of London. This is in the Square Mile. We're also, through this collaboration, connected to the worshipful groups of London who are there to support the startups and the founders. Access to anything in the Square Mile through this and through the collaboration with the university. If it's you want to use, don't worry about it. We've got 12 months to make the most of this amazing place in London and this access point for everybody. So come and be part of it. All right. Wonderful to have you here. So finish up with a fully wave. And please, particularly for those of you in India where it's at least 4.5 hours later, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you guys.